Yes, some people are afraid that you can't be bought. And a lot of the times, spiritual people are really aware that a lot of people can be bought in this world. And yet, when people come across someone that legitimately cannot be bought, like their soul is not for sale, that's a unique thing. That's a very unique thing. And that's a rarity that is very, very honestly, it's a pleasurable experience to some degree, and it's a refreshing experience to come across somebody that doesn't have their soul sold to something that is beyond that which is, for Satan, really. But one thing that I've really learned recently is that you will be able to turn believers into, or non believers, I should say, into believers of spirit and truth. Especially as chosen ones, you will be able to turn people by using your ability to suffer as motivation. You will be able to turn people into believers. This is exactly what happened with me and David Goggins to some degree. With him, I related a lot to his story. And for those of you that don't know who David Goggins is, the guy is just an absolute savage. Just an absolute savage. And he was in the military, he was a Navy SEAL, and he was once considered the, if not still, the most toughest man alive. But you read his book, Can't Hurt Me, and you hear about his story. He wasn't always this way. He wasn't always that guy. And so when you come across somebody like that now and you see where they've come and where they've gone, it's like you have a hard time balancing and seeing the difference. But then when you hear his words and you hear the passion just in his voice and the truth that's there too, because that's another thing nobody can fake as a chosen one. Like as a chosen one and as a spiritual person, you cannot fake your essence, especially for men that's on semen retention and women that are in some kind of form of celibacy. They absolutely cannot fake their essence. And I've been around very feminine women, and they have this such a different energy to them. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And it takes a masculine man in order to see that and appreciate that. And I didn't see that for so long, and I was attracted to these masculine women for so long that I didn't even know what it was like to see a feminine woman until I started working on myself more. And then as soon as I started working on myself more, it was like all of the feminine women that were at least around, because there's not many of them, started to kind of pop up onto my radar. And it was like the suffering that I went through reflected how I was able to attract other types of energy into my life. And this is something that I've learned about God, is that God transforms suffering into something far more beautiful on the other side. And I was just reading Matthew, the end of Matthew, last night, where Jesus is prosecuted and everything that goes on during his crucifying process. And the, like, it's almost, as you read it, it's almost hard to have empathy, and yet at the same time you can't help but have empathy, because it's such a strong, powerful message, whether you believe in Jesus Christ or not. It's such a powerful message about spirit and truth. Because the fact that a story like that can make you feel a certain way, that that's powerful. And stories themselves are very powerful. If you have the ability to tell a story and take ownership of the story, meaning you're able to claim that which you know is true as truth, and then articulate it in a way that is not only inspirational, not only perhaps even, dare I say, entertaining, even though I don't want this channel to be purely about entertainment, but educational as well. And also, it gives you a taste of something higher. It gives you the taste of something that is among the stars almost. You know, it gives you that certain kind of freshness of life that just glistens in radiance. And you no longer feel exhausted by the grief that you had to go through with all that suffering. And you start to feel as though you are liberated and you are communicating spirit to spirit through the story. Those are the kinds of stories that you get when you learn how to suffer. And that's exactly what David Goggins did, and that's exactly what Jesus, the story of Jesus, is about, really. It's just that God has the power, and our ancestors all have the power, still to this day, to reshape and change life in a way that promotes not just a healthy mind and a healthy body, but a healthy soul and a spirit. Because when the mind and the body is connected, that's when you are able to get the soul. That's when you know what the soul is. You know that you have a soul when you know that your body and mind is actually connected. The things that you do in fact influence your mind. How you operate physically, I guess you could say, is directly correlated with how you use your mind, and how you use your mind is directly correlated with what you do with your body. But you also see like these elderly people that have so much like force in them, but yet they're so gentle as well. Like they can command like a real elder that is still got their life force, like they still have their essence. That's a powerful being right there. That's a very powerful being. And it's a beautiful thing, these elderly people that still have that essence. It's inspiring too. And so these are the kinds of things and the stories that you have to go through and the trials that you have to go through in order to see that the suffering is actually in some way a blessing. I don't always like to use pain as a way to motivate, but if you have nothing else, then use that pain, use that suffering as fuel. And in fact, that's honestly, when I look back on my life, it is where I was in the darkest moments. I remember a year and a half ago, I guess, is when I was running in the snow and it was a blizzard outside. It was freezing cold. I was wearing like a hoodie, some shorts, and some gloves, and some running shoes as I was running around, and there was probably about a foot of snow on the ground. And I was running because I just I just wanted to put myself through that. I wanted to see what that would be like. Kind of weird, I know, but that's the kind of person I am. I just wanted to be that kind of. I wanted to rekindle that relationship with the animal inside me, and so putting myself in those kinds of uncomfortable positions is what I learned is how to do that. But as I was running through the snow, and there was a point where I probably got to like mile 2 or so, and I just stopped and I looked at the snow because there was nobody around. I mean, it was you could barely see 50 feet in front of you. Maybe not even that much. I mean, that's being a little bit generous, but you could barely see in front of you. And it was like I was in this snow globe, and it was a real life snow globe. And I almost couldn't tell the difference for a moment. And these kinds of things happen when you're on your spiritual journey. Like, for a moment, I could not tell the difference between what was me and what was outside of me. And in that moment was when I started to really kindle also my relationship to Jesus more deeply. And the more I grew closer to Jesus, the more my ego was dissolving. And that's what that really was in my consciousness, was that ego dissolution. But when you have experiences like that, and you know that you have your soul intact, and people know that you can't be bought, because you're well aware that you can handle whatever life throws at you. Like, you've been able to run in the snow for miles at a time and be able to be at one with the universe at the same time. Like, you know that in your heart. These other people don't know that, but they know there's something different about you. And some of them really like that and admire and respect that. And others they like it so much that they're scared of it. I've noticed, like, they respect it so much that they're kind of scared and frightened of it. They're frightened of the emotions that you generate within them. And then other times, people are just plain hate, like they just plain are haters of that kind of energy. So there's the haters, they like it, and then there's the like it, but they kind of are scared of it. And that is pretty much it when it comes to that. But the people that are kind of scared of it but like it, those are the kinds of people that you'll be able to turn into believers, where they start to realize that, holy shit, like this is the real deal. This guy is speaking nothing but facts. This gal is speaking nothing but facts. Holy shit. And you'll be able to change lives. But it starts with you. It starts with your own changing of your own life. So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. And until next time, peace be with you.